Hello, I'm James Stewart, Sheriff of Anoka County, and welcome to the Sheriff Show. On this episode, we'll take a look at some of the training our new deputies go through when they're hired with the Anoka County Sheriff's Office. Then, we'll take a look at a recent mass explosives training event that we hosted with our Explosives Ordnance Detection Canine Unit. Finally, Crime Watch Coordinator Laura Landis will discuss the dangers of thin ice and what you can do if you witness someone fall through the ice. The Sheriff Show starts right after this. When we hire new deputies, they have already undergone rigorous screening processes. But after being hired, we want to ensure that they are fully trained and ready for whatever situation they may encounter once they are on their own. Let's head out and follow two of our new deputies, Mike Arthur and Peter Grover, as they go through their first week of our field training program.
Hi, my name is Deputy Justin Weller. I'm a deputy with the Anoka County Sheriff's Office. I also hold the position of use of force instructor and firearms instructor here. I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about our new hire training and some of the things that they went through as part of their initial hiring process. Their new hires initially went through a day of use of force training. After that, they went and did some hands-on use of force, which entailed them learning techniques such as hands-on escort techniques, handcuffing techniques, and then intermediate weapon techniques such as a baton or an asp. Okay. The second day, the new hires were sworn in. Let's take a look at some clips of that.
After me, I, Michael Arthur.
I, Michael Arthur.
Do hereby solemnly swear.
Do hereby solemnly swear.
Upon oath.
Upon oath.
That I will support the constitutions.
That I will support the constitutions.
Of the United States.
Of the United States.
And of the state of Minnesota.
And of the state of Minnesota.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties.
Of the office of deputy.
Of the office of deputy.
Of Anoka County, Minnesota.
Of Anoka County, Minnesota.
To the best of my judgment and ability.
To the best of my judgment and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
And then on the third day, the new hires went to the firearms range. On this day, just like the use of force day, they learned statutes and case law which dictated how they use their firearms as a police officer. During the firearms training portion, they learned basic weapon operation and basic techniques such as magazine changes and holstering, unholstering techniques. Then they received training in live fire, which entailed them shooting and moving, shooting and then changing magazines, and then shooting and moving to cover. There was a proficiency level during this training, which required them to hit targets a certain number of times. And then on the next day, they received training in the laser shot. The laser shot is like a big TV screen, which has video of actors acting out different scenarios that they might encounter while they're working as a police officer. During their laser shot training, they were asked to go into different situations and then make a proper decision on what use of force to use, all the way up to deadly force. During this training, they were asked to make proper decisions, and then after, they were coached and graded on the decisions that they made. And then lastly, they received training in TASER. The TASER is a device that we train our new hires to use properly. TASER as an organization puts down training for new hires, and the new hires were trained on that material. Also, they were trained practically on how to deploy the TASER with targets and different techniques with inert training cartridges.
We strive to hire the best, train the best, and ensure that our deputies give you their best. We take our oath and our commitment to protect and serve very seriously. We'll be right back with more of the Sheriff Show after this.
Slow down. Slow down and move over.
And move over.
When you see lights,
vests,
or reflectors.
please give us some room. Slow down and move over.
when you need us.
We've got your back.
Do you have ours?
You got our back?
You got ours?
You got our back?
Please, slow down.
And move over.
Our K-9 units are always hard at work, training to be ready to protect the citizens of Anoka County if and when they are needed. Recently, these K-9 units took part in a multi-state, multi-agency training event that involved explosives. Deputy Brian Collier will now tell us more about this very specialized training.
Hello, my name is Deputy Brian Collier with the Anoka County Sheriff's Office. Today we're here at the Park and Sell Auto Mart used car lot in Ham Lake. We're here training with a large amount of explosives. We had Federal Ammunition in Anoka borrow us 500 pounds of gunpowder that we placed in the back of this van. It's very important for us to get this opportunity to train today on a large amount of explosives because we often don't get our hands on a large amount of explosives for safety reasons. Most of us dog handlers only have 1 to 5 pounds of all the different odors our dogs are trained on, just for safety reasons, because having 500 pounds of explosives stored in a garage at our office or something like that's a real danger. So we normally don't have our hands or access to such large amounts. And it's very important for our dogs to train not only on small amounts but large amounts, because the odor, it smells very different from a large amount to a small amount for the dogs to work. And what you'll see here today on a lot of the dogs running this scenario of 500 pounds in the back of this minivan is that the odor is so strong that it's pulling out every crevice of this vehicle, and it's actually pushing out and gathering on the vehicles around it. So some of the dogs are actually alerting to the vehicle right next to it because that's the strongest source of odor that they're catching, and the dogs are trained to find the strongest source of odor and then sit next to that odor and alert to the odor. And it's good for the dogs to be able to work through that and find out exactly where the odor is coming from. So a lot of the dogs, even though they're alerting on the vehicle next to where the hide actually is, will bring the dog then directly to source. The dog can learn how the odor kind of works its way through the air. Another thing we're doing today is we got an FBI agent here who has access to peroxide explosives. Peroxide explosives are the newest, latest, greatest homemade explosive used by a lot of the terrorists worldwide. This stuff is very unstable and not safe to handle, so the only one that has access to this is this FBI agent, and he tries to bring it out to us bomb dog handlers about once a month and get our dogs on this odor so they can become familiar with it, so in case it's out there in the real world someday, the dogs will be able to find it.
Thank you to Deputy Collier and our partners at Federal Ammunition for making this event a possibility and a success. We'll be right back with more of the Sheriff Show after this.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Crime Watch Coordinator Laura Landis will discuss the dangers of thin ice and what you can do if you witness someone fall through the ice.
I'm filling in for Laura Landis. My name is Melissa Reeder. I'm newly assigned to the Crime Prevention Unit at the Anoka County Sheriff's Office. As the winter is so quickly approaching, now is a perfect time to talk about ice safety and for you to talk about it with your kids. It is important to know that you can never judge the strength of ice just by appearance, age, thickness, temperature, or by the amount of snow on the ice. Strength is based on all of those, plus depth of water, size of body of water, and local climate conditions. There is no such thing as 100% safe ice. So before you travel on ice, you should check into local resources for known thin ice areas, check on your own the thickness of ice using a chisel, ice auger, or a cordless drill, wear a life vest under your winter gear, and carry a pair of ice picks. It is amazing how hard it is to pull yourself back onto unbroken, wet, and slippery ice. If you do fall in, it is important not to panic. Do not remove your clothing. The heavy clothes will not drag you down, but provide flotation and warmth. Turn towards the direction you came from. That's where the strongest ice most likely is. Place your hands and arms on the unbroken surface. This is where a pair of ice picks would come in handy to provide extra traction to pull yourself up. Kick your legs towards the solid ice. Once you get yourself out, lay on your back and roll away from the hole. Warm yourself immediately and seek medical attention if you are disoriented or have uncontrolled shivering. If someone else falls through the ice, immediately call 911. Resist the urge to run to the edge of the hole. You will most likely become the second victim. Do not risk your own life. You need to preach, reach, and throw. Preach is to shout to the victim, encourage and reassure them that help is on the way. Reach is to determine if you can safely reach the victim from shore. If you can, extend an object such as a rope or ladder to the victim. Release if you are getting pulled in. Throw is to throw something that will float to the victim so they can tie it around themselves before they get too weak. Remember to continue to encourage the victim and reassure that help is on the way. Some general ice thickness guidelines is 2 inches or less, stay off the ice. 4 inches is ice fishing or on-foot activities. 5 inches is snowmobiles or ATVs. 8 to 12 inches is for a car or small truck. 12 to 15 inches a medium truck. Remember, there is no such thing as 100% safe ice. Stay warm and have a safe winter.
Finally, I want to remind you that flashing lights mean move over. It's the law. The law was named in honor of Ted Foss, the state trooper that was killed while on shoulder of Interstate 90 in Winona in 2000. The law states that when traveling on a road with 2 or more lanes, drivers must keep over 1 full lane away from the stopped emergency vehicles with flashing lights activated. This includes ambulance, fire, law enforcement, maintenance, and construction vehicles. If you're not able to safely move over, reduce your speed. Failing to take these actions endangers personnel who provide critical and life-saving services. By giving our deputies and other emergency responders that extra space, you are helping to ensure their safety in what can be a very dangerous environment. Thank you for watching this episode of The Sheriff Show.